G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Markey Industries. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. And for those asking, I promise Markey is okay. I promise. Anyway, we're reading some more stories from Reddit today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okie dokie folks, this one was posted on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. It was written by user Pure Clown Energy, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my mum out and saying she wasn't a good mum in front of our counsellor? I apologise for any grammatical errors. I'm on mobile at the moment. Hello all. I, 23 female, am in sort of a pickle and currently my majority of the family is against me. My mother, 41, has 6 kids altogether. Myself, my sisters, female 22, 19, 17, 16, and my brother, 23. Growing up was sort of hell for all of us. My mother never had a good track record of picking good men, and a lot of times me and my siblings would witness her boyfriends beat her or berate her. Her second boyfriend would often hit us when me and my siblings were younger as well. It's a whole lot more, but then this post would be very long. However, about 5 years ago, my mother lost custody of my 3 younger sisters. There was some SA going on with my mother's most recent ex-boyfriend. We didn't want our sisters in foster care, so me and my brother begged our grandmother to take them in until me and my brother could come up with a plan or take custody of them. Dramatic, I know, but it's always just been me and siblings against the world in my eyes. My grandmother, the saint she is, took my sisters and told me and my older brother not to worry about getting custody of them because we should be focusing on our lives and college. While me and my brother were hesitant at first, we decided to head off to college to kind of build up some status, I should say. I dropped out of college because I couldn't afford to keep up with the cost and get my tuition down below a certain cost. However, my brother graduated last year. My sisters have been happy with living with my grandmother, and my grandmother loves having them around. She says she gets to see her grandbabies every day, and it's a blessing. They are comfortable living with her, and my grandmother has no change of still caring for them. But back on course with my mum. When she lost custody, me and all my siblings went no contact with her, including my grandmother. Around 2 months ago, my mother sent me an email explaining that she would like to get back in contact with us and do family therapy. At first, I didn't say anything to my siblings, because in a sense, I felt like I was protecting them. However, she sent me a second email the following month after, explaining that she broke up with her boyfriend and she really missed us. She wanted to do family therapy because she had a lot of pain built up, and she knew that we probably did as well. I talked with my grandmother about it, and she told me that I should ask my siblings if they wanted to, and have it be their choice. I spoke with my siblings about it, and the youngest were on board because they did miss our mum. However, myself and my other siblings were hesitant. But for the sake of my younger siblings, I responded to her and we set up a time to meet up. About 3 weeks ago, we met up at a restaurant and my mother looked exhausted but eager to see us. I declined a hug because I wasn't comfortable with it and my mother looked ticked. My mum got caught up with all of us and she asked during our lunch if my younger siblings would consider coming back home and her getting custody back. My younger siblings said they weren't sure and I could tell they looked uncomfortable. I tried to change the subject, but my mum wrapped it back around. She started mentioning on how we could all be a family again now that we're older and she can rebuild what was broken. The rest of the meeting became a blur for me because I honestly checked out. A lot of buried emotions were coming up and I shut down. After the meeting, I got an email from my mum later that night that she was really upset that I didn't hug her or say goodbye to her when we left. She said it was giving a bad impression to my younger siblings, and they would probably start mistreating her as well. I'm not going to lie, that email filled me with anger because she had a lot of audacity. I didn't respond and I got another email from her, but it was a confirmation for our first family therapy session. We had it yesterday. We did the usual first introductory process in getting familiarized. Later during the session, my mum was going on and on of how she did everything she could to protect us, etc. The silence from me and my siblings was pretty loud, and our counsellor and therapist asked how we felt about that. My other siblings didn't speak. I wasn't planning on speaking either, but then what my mum said just made me snap. She told our therapist that I told them not to say anything because I wanted to turn my siblings against her, and she scheduled this session to help us and not split us apart. After that, I just went off. I started screaming that she wasn't a good mother, and she did nothing to protect us. She constantly vented to me about her relationships or her problems. This led me to internalize a lot of her issues as my own, or my stresses. She never protected my brother when her boyfriends would beat on him when he tried to protect either her or my sisters. She never even thought of reporting her ex when my sisters first came to her about the abuse they experienced at his hands. I went off on a lot of other things, but at this point she was bawling, and so were my siblings. I told my therapist that if anyone was splitting the family up, it was her, with her stupidity, ignorance, and just flat-out neglect. I was breathing hard after the incident, and after thinking about it, I'm not happy at all I blew up like that. My therapist decided we should take a break, but I told them I was just done. I was not going to sit here and listen to her trying to blame me for her actions or her problems. The session ended quickly after that, and later on in the night, my phone started blowing up with calls and text from my mother's side of the family. They started berating me and saying that I was a horrible person for hurting my mother like that and making her feel horrible. They were on a tangent on how she was trying to turn a new leaf and actually work at rebuilding a relationship with us. After all the calls and texts, I've been feeling like a crappy person for saying that to my mum. So honestly, am I the a-hole? Well, this is very complicated, but if you ask me, the mother had what was coming to her, that's for sure. What do you guys think? Let's go down to the comments, where Opie comments first. I honestly don't even know where to begin. I'm crying because the support has been extremely overwhelming, and for once I'm feeling heard and seen, outside of my grandmother, of course. I truly appreciate the support. I've tried to read all the comments, but they keep rolling in. Again, thank you guys so much. I'll add some context, seeing as I didn't elaborate much because I didn't want to have to type a novel and have anyone read so much. My grandmother, she is my mum's mum. She cut her off because my mum would constantly steal money from her or sneak boys into the house when she knew my grandmother wouldn't like it. My grandmother is an SA survivor of my grandfather, my mum's dad. My grandmother actually took him to court to get him arrested, which is why she is essentially the black sheep to the majority of our family. My grandmother explained it to me when I was much older that our family has a lot of SA history from family members. Our family is highly religious and feels as though we should pray over them every day to heal them. Why I felt awful. My mother is also a victim of abuse, and I felt like I was being a hypocrite for calling her out and saying what I said, because it was as though I wasn't taking her abuse into account either. However, as many of you have mentioned, even with her being a victim, she still let the abuse happen. I think reading that is what made me start crying. Myself and my siblings never got counselling because we just thought it was our fault we experienced the abuse. In our talks before, we often tried to hold the burden of not protecting our mum more. My mum's side of the family. They are enablers and abusers themselves. My grandmother has countless stories about them. I feel as though a part of them wants my siblings and I to make up so we can appear to be a happy family. They do have a serious issue with appearances. My siblings. My brother is the real star of the show, honestly. Before we even made it to the first session, he told my youngest sister that our mum will probably say a lot of things, but if she wasn't ready to talk, or if she wanted solo therapy, he would pay for it in full. After the session, she decided to do so because she has a lot of complicated feelings about our mum. My other sisters are still emotionally distraught. They did thank me for saying the truth and what needed to be said. They said they couldn't say anything because they didn't know how to word it. Yet again, like me, they didn't want to be cruel. I truly appreciate all of the comments and the reassurance. I sent my grandmother the post and she said all of you guys are rock stars and that the majority of you are right, that my mother is a see you next Tuesday. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask. This has been doing great steps for me to get my own therapy because I did let a lot of this build up over the years. My tangent to my mum went on for a few minutes before I had to stop because I was so pissed. One commenter says, "She tried manipulating you into manipulating your sisters into agreeing with custody after gaslighting you for not being loving with her. Then she lied to the counsellor about how she treated you in her relationships and in her custody. Then lied about you influencing your sisters. If that counsellor was worth her observations, she'd see through your mother's BS. Definitely get therapy, but without your mother. She doesn't want to fix things with her children. She probably wants the money that comes with support of your younger sisters. Why would she alienate you if she wants to reunite the family? Opie replies, I'm pretty sure our counsellor did. During my outburst, I noticed her writing a lot on her notepad. I'm pretty sure my mum will try to reach out to her to force contact or try to schedule another session, but I'm honestly declining it. She's already proved that she'll continue to not protect us or even apologise. Another comment. Nope, not the a-hole. She made that meeting about her, didn't she? She had it coming. Her side of the family is only hearing her side of the story, and of course she's telling all of them you wanted to turn your siblings against her. Jesus effing Christ, what delusional BS is this? Your mum isn't ready to mother any of you. She needs a few more years of proving herself before she can even ask that question. I'm hoping your grandma is on your side. Sounds like she is. Do your siblings feel like you were out of line, or do they agree with you? Perhaps have a convo with them and see what they feel and want to do. Good luck, OP. Opie says, my siblings agreed with me. Our grandmother always taught us to not be unnecessarily cruel to people. However, she did tell me that sometimes you have to tell a mother effer about theyself, her exact words. My siblings were a bit alarmed at how ticked I was because they never saw me like that. My sister described me as a mama bear protecting her cubs. My brother was originally telling me to calm down during the session, but when I brought up the abuse he experienced due to her inactive behaviour, he came on my side and told me as such. Alrighty, onto an update a day later. Hey all, update for those who wanted it. Also, heavy abuse trigger warning because I'll get emotional and vent a bit later on in this update. If you're a childhood abuse survivor, I wouldn't recommend reading past this since it could possibly be triggering. My siblings and I have decided to go no contact with our mother for good. It was a hard conversation this morning, and I felt like an a-hole again. I felt like my outburst persuaded them to make that decision so I wouldn't be upset with them, yet they reassured me throughout the whole conversation that they didn't like that she didn't even apologise, even when she had the opportunity to. My siblings and I are still struggling with the fact that she won't change, and she probably never will. The driving force for it was the email that I got from my mother at 4 AM today. I copied and pasted it here since I don't know how to post pics or screenshot on mobile. Quote, Dear Juju, my nickname when I was younger, I am truly hurt and devastated that you went public with a private matter. Your Auntie May showed me your Reddit post, and yet you continue to try to villainize me. I was going to explain myself further in therapy, but I'm in a new relationship now with a very loving man. He was the main one who encouraged me to extend an olive branch with you all. I was going to surprise you and your siblings in therapy, however, you ruined it. I stayed my distance from you all because after losing your sisters, it made me realize I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror anymore. It made me realize how much of a worthless piece of crap I was. You calling me a worthless tramp of a mother was uncalled for. In those relationships, I couldn't just simply walk away. Where would I have gone? What about you guys? Do you not think it ate me up inside every time you guys cried? Every time I did try to protect you guys just to get the crap beat out of me? Being knocked out cold and not knowing if you guys were safe or not? Did any of that not matter to you? I'm trying to redeem myself while also being a victim, and you simply can't get your own head out of your ass. You be and complain about your pain, not realizing I was a victim too, Juju. We all were. I hate to sound harsh, but you're an adult and can hear these things now. I tried my damn hardest to protect you all. For you to crap on all of my effort in your rant and call me almost every name in the book in front of our therapist, your siblings, and the blatantly visible disrespect to me, all of it truly uncalled for. I will not have contact with you until you apologize to me for what you said. You broke my heart, Juju, but Mama still loves you, and me going no contact with you is to show that you can't just hurt someone because you yourself are hurting. I'll be over to see your sisters later at my mum's place to talk one-on-one with them. I will appreciate it if you're there to apologize, but if you will not, then I highly ask that you not be there. End of email. The email really crushed me a lot. I completely understand that she was a victim as well. Like I also mentioned to a kind Redditor that messaged me last night, she did provide what she could, yet there were many moments we either went hungry or without some necessities. One of my most embarrassing moments was asking strangers on the street for money so me and my sisters could get pads and tampons. My mum's third boyfriend threw ours out because he, quote, didn't believe in periods. That whole ordeal, among others, was so damn humiliating. I got a mixture of anger and sadness when she said she tried her hardest to protect us. Where was the determination when her boyfriends would beat the hell out of me and my older brother because we didn't want them either alone with our sisters or touching our younger sisters? Where was she when she heard me getting essayed in the room right next to her and heard me screaming for her? It's just an overwhelming sorrow, because in her eyes, she did her best. But in my eyes, she did absolutely nothing, and I told her as such, and then some in our session. Like many of you pointed out, she may have been a victim, but she did nothing to protect us. I have to sit with that for the rest of my life. My siblings have to deal with that for the rest of their lives. I have to work through all the damage she caused, while she gets to play hero and have her redemption arc. I'm done with her, and I'm happy to know the feeling is mutual according to her. She did call my grandmother this morning during breakfast and demanded that she let her see her kids. My grandmother told her that she could try, but she wasn't coming past the gate unless my sisters wanted her to. My grandmother put her phone on speaker and asked my sisters if they wanted to see her. My younger sister actually responded this time and said no, and not for a very long time at the minimum. My mum tried to scream at my grandmother, but I could hear her voice cracking from trying not to cry on the phone. My grandmother told her she could go F herself and don't call her again. After that is when the conversation about no contact got put into overdrive. My siblings have their own memories of her to account for. They aren't comfortable with me sharing them, so I really just shared mine and a bit of my brother's. It's just all so surreal to me. I thought that maybe she was actually okay with being alone, but here she is, not being truthful of when she broke up with her most recent ex. I didn't ask because I don't even care anymore. Yet she's already in a new relationship. It's a hard thing to grasp that my mother just can't be alone. I even feel disgusting calling her my mother because it stings to know that she never really was a mother. Not to me or my siblings. For my family that's been messaging me, I just blocked them on every social media platform. They stopped trying to call me since I set up my phone with an app to reject all calls from unknown numbers that aren't my contacts. As for my mum, I copied and pasted my response here. Victoria, since you are no longer my mother, I have no need for formality. You make me absolutely sick to my stomach. You know of the pain you caused me and my siblings. You know you didn't do crap. You know that you never even had a grain of maternal instinct. If you did, you would never have allowed us to get hurt. I know you can't sleep at night with those thoughts running around in your head. I hope for the rest of your life it eats you up inside. Your new boy toy will be the only thing by your side when you frail and almost dust. I'm done allowing you to hurt not only me, but my brother and sister as well. You have no right to try to prance your happy fake ass into our lives now that you see we're doing well without you. It hurts, doesn't it? To know that even through all the bullcrap, we are 10 times the better person you could ever imagine in your twisted little head. You don't have to worry about me contacting you. I will have nothing to do with you. Even after your death, I'll have no connection and hopefully no memories of you. You may still be alive and breathing, but to me, you are a shallow corpse of a stranger, and I intend to keep it that way. You live in a fantasy world, and I hope on your deathbed you have such a crippling feeling of regret that you croak on the spot. Don't ever contact me or my siblings again. My brother wants you to know that he'll spit on your grave if he ever finds out you died, so sleep well with that, you effing bee. I'm not too proud of my response, but at this point, she is dead to me. She should have been a long time ago, but it felt so good to get that pain from the most internal part of my chest. I'm pretty sure she won't put up a fight seeing as my words hurt her so much. If she does and her antics are crazy enough, I'll update again. However, for now, I'm taking a well-deserved break, and I'm signing myself up for therapy. I realize I have a lot of anger and resentment built up that I need to work through correctly and positively. Thank you guys for the support and the kind messages. I'll be posting some of them on a vision board to help through my therapy. Thank you Reddit so much for being here in a time of need for a stranger. Love you all. Yeah, I mean, as far as strongly worded emails go, that's probably up there. But it's good to see that Opie's seemingly pretty self-aware about what needs to be done now. And she's well and truly closing the book on her mum, and rightly so given the history there. Let's read some final comments. We always say support abuse victims, but I don't think any parent can use abuse as an excuse for enabling the abuse of their children. Quote, I was a victim too, we all were. Imagine saying that to your own child, who was essayed by a partner that you refused to break up with, acting like her dependents were in the same boat as her, and that she has no burden of failed responsibility towards them is honestly disgusting. Jesus tap dancing Christ, she wanted to surprise them with her new relationship after the last one they knew about essayed at least one of her children? Sympathy for her abuse, no F's given that she thinks she did everything to protect them. What about them if she left? Last, you take your kids with you. Just reminds me that my decision to go no contact with my mother is the right one. Even if Opie isn't proud of that response, I'm proud of her for it. That reads like it was cathartic as hell and needed to be said. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Let me know in the comments down below. Either way, we're going to leave that story there and move on to another one. Okay, we're staying on the same subreddit. This one was written by user MamaRinSD, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for snapping at my boyfriend for bringing a man into the bedroom while I'm trying to sleep? So for quick context, my boyfriend bought us a new bed frame and mattress, but the frame came with a crack in one of the pieces. When he told Amazon, they just sent him another one. One day at work, an employee mentioned he was needing a new bed, so my boyfriend said he could have the one Amazon sent him if he didn't mind the broken piece. Well, he didn't, and he came to get it today. I know this person, and I do not like him for various reasons. My boyfriend told me the night before he was coming to get it. I said, cool, I'm not coming out of the bedroom unless I have to. He came, and I vaguely heard them talking, but I was half asleep and didn't care. Then I heard my boyfriend say something about showing him our bed, and I heard him say that I was in there, but it was fine. I kind of froze, half asleep and confused until I hear them coming, and I pull the blankets over my head as my boyfriend announced coming in. I said very loudly, why? And they just came in. It was hot and stuffy under the covers. Thank God I wore baggy clothes and not my usual sleepwear, so I pulled the blankets down and the guy was just standing there in the doorway and awkwardly said good morning, to which I replied very angrily good morning back and probably looked like I wanted to kill everyone there. So my boyfriend showed off the bed and started to leave, to which I snapped at him for not shutting the door behind him on his way out. I don't like leaving the door completely open because it's so awkward when his kid goes to the bathroom across the hall and we see each other when I'm trying to sleep. I just want it cracked enough my cat can get in, and he knows this. Eventually the employee leaves and my boyfriend comes in, and I immediately sat up and tell him I did not like that at all. He tries saying something in a sing-song voice that may have been a half-assed apology, but I cut him off, saying, I really didn't frickin' like that at all, and he turned around and left without a word. I shut the door completely and laid down, just sort of locked up in place. My whole body sort of just felt heavy and my chest hurt, but I couldn't cry. But that was just so humiliating, to have not only a man that does not belong in my bedroom there, but also him seeing me in my safe space, an absolute mess from sleeping, was just horrible. Later, when I got up for work, my boyfriend left as soon as he knew I was moving, got his pants and left without a word. On my way out, I very angrily texted him that since he decided to Irish goodbye me after hurting me that bad, I'd take the couch tonight. He didn't reply and he was asleep when I got home, so on the couch I am now. I want to know if I'm the a-hole for how I reacted, because I have a feeling that's how he's going to twist it when he does, or if he does, say anything at all. What? No, not the a-hole for me. I mean, the boyfriend made a pretty bad mistake, but I feel like this could have been resolved pretty quickly with a sincere apology and maybe some way of making it up to her. I feel like the way he reacted after the fact is the worst part about this. So immature. Let's go to the comments. From your description, your boyfriend was being disrespectful to you and the buyer. The guy wanting to do the purchase also did not expect a sleeping human to be there. Note how the buyer was being respectful and your boyfriend was not. Again, with the boyfriend. I cut him off saying I really didn't freaking like that at all, and he turned around and left without a word. This is wild and weird. Does he usually ignore your feelings? It was humiliating and intrusive, not the a-hole. Please ensure your boyfriend wants you to be in a safe environment more than making a quick buck. Opie says, I'm not sure how to quote stuff on here like you did, so I'll try answering in order. If it matters any, he was giving him the frame for free. He won't speak to me if he thinks I'm too emotional, which admittedly I was definitely on fire in the moment, and we probably would have started a fight if he said anything, but a heartfelt apology of some sorts. I think he'd just tell me, "Oh, it's just so-and-so," because he doesn't care for why I don't like the guy. He was my employee, we used to work together and I was his boss, and he'd try to get me in trouble all the time because I'd tell him to do his job correctly. But this could just be me doom-dreading stories we haven't talked yet, and I'm just sitting on the couch overthinking things, haha. Thank you though. Not the a-hole. Letting someone in your bedroom while you're sleeping is an a-hole move, especially when it's someone he knows that you don't really like. He should have had the decency to wake you up before he even got there, so you could have moved somewhere else. Imagine how uncomfortable you would feel if you'd been sleeping naked. Your boyfriend should have had you get up before any of this happened. Your boyfriend owes you an apology to you and the employee for what happened. Your boyfriend owes you another apology for just walking away from you after you expressed how much you didn't like what he did and not talking to you for the rest of the day. How childish. Opie replies, I specifically told him I wasn't leaving the room when he came unless I had to. I tend to sleep in a lot and it was maybe normal get-up time for most people, 10:30ish I think, but when I told him that he didn't say anything about showing him the bed frame put together, I keep trying to remember if I heard the employee ask to see it or if he offered, but I wasn't awake enough and I wasn't trying to listen to begin with. I can't help but feel like he'd use me cutting him off against me. It just felt like he was saying it for the sake of saying it, you know? Nothing about his tone sounded sincere, and it just made me snap. And that's why I'm not sure if I'm the a-hole or not, because I guess I didn't give him a chance to apologize. Thank you for your input. Not the a-hole. You set clear boundaries and your man straight up ignored them. Bringing someone into your bedroom, your safe space, without a real heads up or respect for your feelings is a foul move. Maybe snapping wasn't ideal, but he kinda asked for it by dismissing your comfort like that. Dude needs to quit playing and show some respect. Thank you, that makes me feel a lot better. I felt bad for snapping, but then I just got angry again, thinking about it, and wasn't sure if my anger was clouding my judgment on the matter. Please listen when I say this. This man does not respect you, and he will not grow to respect you before the relationship ends. And love is not a weapon that can combat disrespect. It's a burning sacrifice on the altar of his ego. Get rid of him. Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of people saying things he does on here without me even saying anything. Not the a-hole. I've been with my wife for 18 years. I would never cross that boundary with her ever. I don't care if she was awake. If she's obviously uncomfortable with someone, I wouldn't put her in that position, and no one is getting into our bedroom without getting through me first. The F is wrong with him. How long have you two been together? Because I feel like this is easily something you should have picked up on. Opie says, 3 years. End of this year will be our 4th. Technically New Year's Eve is our anniversary. These issues have only happened in the last year and a half, I want to say. The comment about his kid makes me think this goes way deeper than this. She replies, it's an awkward situation. His kid was obviously with someone well before me, and I don't really want to go into too much detail because he isn't mine, but he basically got kicked out for lying about having a job, and now he lives with us and with his girlfriend. I don't blame my boyfriend for how he ended up because the mum had full custody and wasn't exactly the easiest to deal with as he grew up. It's not my place to tell him how to try and fix it. I just find it really awkward when people see me sleeping that aren't my boyfriend. That's about as deep as that goes. Awkward shyness. We kept the door wide open when we lived alone. And yeah, admittedly, I probably shouldn't have mentioned the son at all. He's got nothing to do with it and he's quite happy living in his room rent-free with his girlfriend, lol. And more issues with her calling his son the kid. Yeah, he's a cool kid for the most part, but the mother wanted full custody after she got out of school. I'll say I could have worded my referral of him better, but his son was only mentioned in context to why I don't like the door being left open, and I really didn't think so many people would read this deeply into it like that. There's a very long and rather sad story about him with his son, one that's not really for me to tell a bunch of internet people, but it is a big reason why I love him. He really sacrificed a lot for that boy, and I genuinely can't stand how he treats his father now after all he did for him, and still does for him. My boyfriend can be a dick, and he really messed up this time with me, but he was never a bad father. If anything, he takes his stress and anger out on me, and maybe I do the same too, but there are lines not to cross. But yeah, I'll try referring to him more as his son. Admittedly, I call him kid as much as I do because sometimes so does my boyfriend when it's not his actual name. Info, ages, looks like there's a big age gap between you and your boyfriend. She replies, yeah, I guess it would be important. I'm female, 28, and he's 50. Whew, okay, there's a can of worms Reddit would love to open, that's for sure. Okay, Opie updates 6 hours later. There's a lot of comments, more than I expected. I want to start by saying thank you all, even the ones that said I was the a-hole but gave a polite reason why. This really helped me calm down. My anxiety and anger was through the roof, and this really helped calm me down, distract me, and clear my head. I would like to clarify here because I noticed a lot of people misreading it, but the employee was never buying anything, especially not our actual bed that I was sleeping on. He was picking up a free spare bed frame because Amazon is kinda weird in how they fix things apparently. I really have no idea why or how they ended up in the bedroom. I will eventually find out, and that will be in the update, which I will update the post with an update when I have one. I tried to be as polite as possible in my replies, but a few times my temper did flare a bit. I apologize for that. I admittedly haven't slept since all of this happened, so I'm pretty impressed I can still spell. I'd like to especially thank the men that apologized for what I dealt with how the world is going about that, and was really wonderful to see. And thank you to every woman that defended me and lifted me up. Your aggression was honestly sweet as hell. I genuinely appreciate it, your kindness. When the time comes, I'm going to let him explain himself, listen, and explain myself as well. I will apologize for snapping only if he actually shows remorse for what he did and understands how wrong it was. If he makes excuses, I'm not going to meet in the middle. I know a lot of you were mad about sleeping on the couch. I did no sleeping at all, of course, but when we've clashed before, he almost always takes the couch, so I don't see it as unreasonable, but I get where you're coming from. That's the goal. And yes, I am re-evaluating my relationship with him even before I hear him out. I'm not going to act rashly. It's really impossible to explain a 3-year relationship in one post, and I know everyone wants to hear every detail, but not every detail is meant for strangers. No offense, I love all the advice and support you've given me. But I am considering leaving him, and I do have a plan if it comes to that. I always have, in all honesty. But I really need to close my eyes right now, especially now that my chest doesn't hurt. Thank you dearly once again. I'll post the update when I have one, and I'll try to reply to people, because I always feel like I should when you put in the time to try and help me. Thank you. Now for the update. I broke up with him. When he finally admitted he brought him in there to see the bed, he basically said all my reasoning for not being okay with it is stupid, that I was dressed and under a cover and it was fine. He said basically everything that everyone said in the comments, and refused to see any wrong in his actions, besides one brief admittance that he could see how I was uncomfortable, but in the same breath said he couldn't imagine how I'd feel violated, and thus wouldn't validate my feelings. So I broke up with him, despite probably waiting until I was not at the end of the month and could more comfortably find a place to live. I'm fine. He just went off into the other room and laid down on the couch. I'm not concerned for my safety yet, but if I become so, I'll be able to stay with a friend. I can afford to move once I find a place. It just takes time. No, I won't take the couch, haha. It was a long conversation of me desperately trying to get him to understand that all this took was just admitting he was wrong and just apologizing. I couldn't get that much. Looks like I didn't know him after all. Oh yeah, I mean there's plenty going on here. But at least her leaving is a step in the right direction. Let's read some final comments. Quote, I'm 28, he's 50. Holy buried lead, Batman. Wait, he was picking up a different cracked frame and Opie's boyfriend wanted to show him an assembled version? Presumably that was the excuse, even though there's plenty of pictures online, and he was picking it up for free, and Opie specifically said she isn't comfortable around the guy. She calls the boyfriend's son a kid when he's only 8-ish years younger than her, and her boyfriend is old enough to be her literal dad. Yeah, no wonder Opie had problems with the son being able to see right into her room. Jeez, alright, we're going to leave that one there. What are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments below. Plenty to say, I'm sure. Otherwise, we're going to move on to another story. Alright, going back over to relationship advice. This one was written by user Mia SW, and it's titled, "My boyfriend threatened to break up over Miss Dior and now won't talk to me because I laughed." Hi guys, my boyfriend, 24, and me, 22, have been together for almost 2 years now. Aside from some small bumps in the road, we've been in a very good place throughout the whole relationship. However, last night things escalated over, in my opinion, something super dumb, but he thinks differently of that, and now stopped talking to me. It started when we were in bed. He was gaming and I was on my laptop looking to order a new perfume. Since I stopped my job to focus on studying, I don't have as much income, so I've decided to not get the expensive perfume I usually go for, Miss Dior. I thought it'd be better to find a body spray with a resembling scent. As he was looking over my shoulder, he asked me what I was doing, so I explained. He then reacted saying I wore Miss Dior in our first period of dating, and it is my smell, and how it was one of the things that attracted him to me. I must admit, this made me a bit annoyed, because I'd rather get that perfume too, but it's just not responsible to do so right now. He started rambling on how I care more about saving money than I care about him. I said that's not true, but then he kept saying his hypersensitivity issues can't deal with adjusting to a new scent. I said I'd find a scent similar to my old one, but he wasn't content. At this point, he said he'd have to break up with me if I would go for another scent. I found this hilarious and thought he surely must be joking, so I laughed, which made him go silent. I let him be because I was really annoyed, and we went to sleep. Now he left early morning and doesn't respond to my texts or calls. I have no idea what to do, and I'm starting to doubt how I handled the situation. Did I fail him by not taking his hypersensitivity into account? No, he can grow up, honestly. You can't use hypersensitivity as an excuse for that. If he wants you to wear Miss Dior, then he can buy it for you. What a prick. Let's go to the comments. I'm concerned that you're even asking this question. This boyfriend of yours tried to assert that you must stick with the Dior perfume and never once offered to buy it? What is wrong with him? In any case, his reaction to your perfume choice is very strange. Why are you asking us if you did something wrong? Lol, threatening to end the relationship because you don't stick to the brand of perfume he likes? Say that aloud. He is holding the relationship hostage because you didn't smell a certain way. Quote, he started rambling on how I care more about saving money than I care about him. Did he offer to buy it? For you? This is some of the dumbest crap I've ever heard. Sorry. Of course, if you're in saving money mode, you're going to pull back on admittedly frivolous purchases, and any regular partner with their head on straight would be glad they had a frugal partner when circumstances demand. He wants you to overspend in order to satisfy his pants feelings. Opie updates 5 days later. Wow, first of all, thanks everyone who gave me advice and some tough love. I did not expect so many of you to help me, and definitely teared up at some of your replies. After I posted this, I was a bit of a mess, but after hours of ignoring me, he texted me late in the evening and asked me to meet up, because he does not want us to be in a bad place. I really wanted to talk to him, at least to clear things up, so I went to his place. When I got there, he acted a bit disappointed still, but he did say he didn't want us to fight. I felt the same, but also took your advice to heart, the idea of letting him buy a bottle. However, for some context, I do think he might be on the spectrum. Not to diagnose, but his dad is too, and it'd make sense. So I did want to show him I care and take his hypersensitivity seriously. Therefore, I decided to suggest we pay half and half for a new Miss Dior, and then until that one would be finished, I'll make sure to do research to find a really good dupe. He was not as convinced, told me it wasn't my birthday anytime soon. I explained that I understood, but would have to both compromise. Well, to quote his literal words, "If you're such a feminist, you should be so financially too." This got me fuming. I had no words, so this time I left. As per your advice in the replies, I did some thinking about the rest of our relationship. I realized other things in our relationship that at the time didn't sit quite right with me were situations of him being controlling and self-concerned, situations I always considered as little things he'd mean differently or would learn from. I was wrong. You were right. I asked him to meet up today, and I dumped his ass. I feel terrible right now, but I know I'm better off. So, any advice for a cheap, nice body spray? One comment says, "That was a difficult decision, but the right one. I don't know where you live, but in the UK and Ireland, Aldi does a great Misty or dupe on occasion. It's called Perfect Pink." Opie says, "We do have an Aldi here, so I'm going to check it out. Thank you." Good for you. He sounded unreasonable. I would have said that he should pay the difference between the perfume you would have bought and the perfume he wanted you to buy, but his comments are so out of line it's not even worth thinking about anymore. Opie replies, "I didn't even think about this. It would have been a good reaction, but since he thinks I have to pay for everything because I'm a feminist, I don't think he would have been okay with that either." I'm so tired of people weaponizing feminism. Good riddance. I always found it very hard to be mad at him for long, but when he said this, I felt like he showed his true colors, and I was so done. What did he say when you broke up with him? He mumbled something along the lines of, "Good, I deserve better," but after that he did text me to say sorry and if we can talk again, so he's not very consistent. Good on you for throwing him out, OP. I'm glad you also get recommendations for a dupe perfume, although maybe a change of fragrance may not be a bad idea so you don't associate it with him. Thank you a lot. I was thinking the same thing. I feel like it's a good time to reinvent myself, starting off with a new signature scent. He. Yeah, good idea, and good riddance to that guy, I say. Anyway guys, that's it for me today. Hope you all enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.